What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the second podcast on the channel. Today we are actually joined by probably one of the biggest guests that I could get on this podcast, and that is Elliot from Battlefront Updates. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Thanks. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Now, first off, I wanted to start by saying congrats on your 6-year anniversary of the channel. That's a pretty massive achievement, especially with a game like this where it sort of had its ups and downs. So I just wanted to say congrats on the pretty big achievement there.
Yeah, thank you very much. I don't think I expected it to go on for that long since, well, Battlefront has been in not the best state sometimes, so I didn't expect it to go on for this long, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a pretty, I don't think anyone really starting a channel on this game sort of knew whether it would go well, especially with the, there was dramas in Battlefront 2015 as well, which is back when you started, so you've gone through a lot of troubles, but it's good to see that the channel's still doing well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's nice to see. We'll see how long it lasts, but as long as people play Battlefront, I will be there making videos about it.
Exactly. So the first question I wanted to ask, which is kind of sort of relating to that topic, is what is it like to have your career based on a game like this that is so dependent on, if the game's doing well, your channel's going to do well, but if the game's not doing well, obviously the channel is going to suffer a little bit. What's it like having a career based on that?
It's both great and not so great at the same time, because I've always been someone who I always play one game and I play it a lot. So I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's E3, I'm excited for these 10 new games, and I'm like, I really just care about Battlefront and Fallen Order, and I've always been like that. So it's never been really I've never been someone who wants to cover 10 games on my channel, because I know I won't be able to do it properly. I won't actually play all those games. I'll just focus on 1 or 2 games. So for that, it's always been like crystal clear, this is what I want to do. But then again, like you said, it's so dependent on how well the game is going, and if they just say, oh, we're done with Battlefront, now we're doing something else, then it's like, all right, I really gotta change the name of the channel or find a new focus. So I mean, it's good because I know I have such a dedicated audience that I can talk about a small thing in the game that's being patched and they will all be interested, versus no one, if I had a channel covering 10 games, they wouldn't be interested in that. So it's really up and down. It's obviously very risky, especially not since I'm doing it as a full-time job. Basically, whenever they decide we're not doing any more Battlefront, then I probably won't be able to do it full-time. I'm sure I can switch focus and do something else, but it's not going to do as well, at least not right away, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's such a sort of stressful game, and it's probably not just this game. I'm sure it would be like that with probably any game other than, if you were one of those people that has like millions of subs, that's probably, you got no worries there. But I know with this game it must be pretty stressful. What do you think if they were to say announce, in a couple months, oh look, we're going to shut down the support for Battlefront, what do you think you would sort of plan on doing if that was the case?
I'm not sure. The thing is, if they decide to say we're done with Battlefront, I mean, whenever they do that, I'm sure they will say we are making another Battlefront or we are not making another Battlefront. If they do say they're making another Battlefront, then I'll just keep this name. I mean, between Battlefront 2015 and Battlefront 2, there was almost a 1-year gap without any content, and it still worked out well, because as long as people know that there is something more coming to Battlefront, they're still interested in it. But let's say they decide to cut it, to stop Battlefront and not make a new one, I'd probably refocus. Well, I'd still cover Star Wars games as a whole, so I would probably try to rebrand to something that would be, well, I do cover all Star Wars games now, but I'd probably change the name to be more representative of that, and then focus more on live streams, because that's live streams, it's a bit easier to do other games, and because people will watch more for the actual streamer, not so much for the game, versus if it's a video, it's 99% about what you're talking about in the video. So I'd probably do more streams, rebrand more about towards Star Wars games, but I hope it won't be sometime soon where I have to do that.
Yeah, I agree. It's the game's in a state at the moment where it's kind of it kind of seems like it could go both ways. I'm more leaning towards, I guess it seems like it's gonna have a bit of a future. The devs are talking about it pretty highly and stuff, but I'm sure it must be very stressful. I know it is even for me, and it's not even my job, but I know it's pretty, it's always worrying to think, oh look, is the game gonna keep being supported and stuff like that. Touching on that, do you think there's been a lot of talk about Battlefront 3, whether it would ever be made and stuff like that, and obviously the new Xbox was announced at E3, and I'm sure PlayStation's going to announce a new console. Do you think it would be? It almost seemed like it was going to be ruled out, honestly, Battlefront 3, but I think with the new generation of consoles, do you reckon it would be something that they'll plan on doing, or do you think it's just going to sort of stay being supported with this game?
Yeah, I'm not sure. So they're releasing those new consoles in about a year, right? Or have they?
I think the Xbox was... I think they said November next year, but I could be wrong. I think that was what they said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because in that case, there's just no chance they're gonna make a Battlefront 3 for that. Because I mean, they've already said they're not working on Battlefront 3. I remember Dennis, like, I think he left a Reddit comment like a month or two ago saying we're just focused on this game, and I think Battlefront 2 took 2 or 3 years to make, maybe. So there's no realistic way. If Dennis said 1 or 2 months ago that they're not working on a new game, there's no realistic way they could make a Battlefront 3 for those new consoles, unless they release them like 2 or 3 years from now, of course. So I'm not really sure if... I feel like at this point, when there's so much content in this game, if they release a Battlefront 3, it's just like reinventing the wheel, because people would expect everything in this game to be a new game, but they can't just copy it over like they did from the original Battlefront 1 and 2, because you just don't do that in 2019. People will be like, oh, you're just copying content and reselling it. So they would have to remake it, but then why would they remake it when they've already done it? So it's like, I just don't see how a Battlefront 3 is feasible. In that case, it would be Star Wars Battlefront and then semicolon, I don't know, Mandalorian or whatever that new trilogy is. So I feel like it would have to be not a Battlefront 3, but a Battlefront something else. Or if they just keep going on this game and they can somehow like re-release it with a new box, like they do with some games, like an Ultimate Edition, or maybe just start putting out actual expansions to it, you know, because I feel like it's better to work on this game and trying to, well, obviously they gotta make some money off the game somehow, try to monetize this game other than with skins, but without having microtransactions. That's stupid. So I don't know, I just don't see how Battlefront 3, I really feel like that would be reinventing the wheel, because they have so much stuff in this game. It would be better to focus on either re-releasing the current game, or doing a completely like a spin-off Battlefront game, that so people won't expect to have everything in this game. I don't know, it's really tricky. I just at least I don't think they're gonna have a Battlefront 3 by the time the new consoles are coming out. I don't think that's gonna happen.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say as well, because I don't know what else they can do with another Battlefront. There's already, you know, they've sold this game as the all eras sort of Battlefront, and it's I honestly don't know what they could do in another Battlefront. Other than, like you said, if it was, you know, a couple years from now, then they could have a completely new engine or whatever. But it's just, I honestly don't know what they could do. But in saying that, I'm not sure, you know, how much longer they can keep pushing this game. If it is going to be, you know, with the new consoles coming out, I guess they could maybe, like you said, maybe like re-release it on the new consoles or something. I'm not too sure how they'd go about it, but that's probably the best way I could see them doing it. I know, was it Rainbow Six Siege has done that or something, and maybe Overwatch, so it's possible. But yeah, I do agree with that it's I hear a lot of chat about Battlefront 3, and I honestly don't think, at least not for quite a while, I don't think it's a possibility as of right now.
Yeah, same here, and this game already looks so good that I'm sure if they release it on the new platforms, it's not like people are going to expect to have better graphics than it already is. So I don't know how compatibility wise how it would work releasing them on if they could work on the new consoles or not. But I mean, if you just take, like, I don't know, ultra settings on PC, and then maybe that's how good it's going to look on the new consoles, that would definitely be realistic. And I feel like the only two things I can think of that a Battlefront 3 could have would be like space to ground battles and maybe galactic conquest. But in that case, can't they just build that upon this game? We've already got so many planets and ships, and now they've built capital ships, so why don't they just make maybe even an expansion that includes that, or like a big re-release or whatever. I don't know how that would work, but I feel like Galactic Conquest and Space to Ground are the only two major things that they could like have as selling points in a potential new game, and I don't know if that's enough. So yeah,
I agree with that. I think that you'd have to, like you said earlier, you'd have to put everything that's in this game into that game, plus like so much more. And then even if you did, people would just say, well, it's only half a game. You know what I mean? It's already got this content that we've already played, and then it's only half an extra game. So it's I'm curious to see how the future of the game goes, but it does make you wonder, I guess, with the new consoles and stuff. And I'm sort of on the same boat as you. I hope they just support this game. I would love to see this just be supported for like years and years, but whether they go down that track, it's I'm not too sure, I guess.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how well it's. It seems like they have a good play account, but I don't know how much they're making from the skins, to be honest. I doubt they're making that much. In that case, if they were making a lot of money from the skins, they'd probably push more skins out. So I feel like they need to figure out some way to. I don't know how they would do it, expansions, or I don't even know what kind of microtransactions they could add that will not piss people off and that isn't skins. So it feels like they're kind of stuck in a situation where, well, they obviously keep doing content, so they're not losing money on the game. In that case, EA wouldn't give them the devs to keep working on the game. So I don't know what they would have to do for this game to live on for multiple more years.
Yeah, it's definitely something I think we're all waiting to hear over the next couple of years. The next question I wanted to ask, which is sort of relating back to your channel a bit more. Obviously, you've grown the channel from the ground up, and it's been a pretty successful thing over the last few years. I got a lot of people asking me to ask you about growing a channel, and I wanted to ask, like, what tips would you give to a smaller channel that's looking to grow on YouTube?
I think the main thing is try to do something that others don't. At least if you're talking Battlefront, like I started this so early that there was like no other channels, so that gave me a pretty good head start. Versus if I see someone starting like a Battlefront news channel now, like what's the point when there's so many others, like not just me, but like 4, 5, 6 other channels doing that, and then you're gonna try to you're really gonna have something unique. I mean, I see some Battlefront channels pop up that will have like really good tips and tricks videos like you do, or like Riva did some really good unique videos, and you know, you can find that if you find those unique things and do it really well that no one else does, you can probably grow a Battlefront channel. But if you're trying to grow a Battlefront channel doing things that other Battlefront channels already do, there has to be a reason for people to go to your channel over the other channels, if that makes sense. So I feel like that's really the main thing, and that's why I think this channel went well for me, because I had a bunch of other channels before this one where I had random Call of Duty or RuneScape or things that, again, people were already doing, so they weren't growing. But then I started this one and there was no other people doing it, and then it grew. So I think that's really my main thing, trying to find doing stuff that others don't do on YouTube to attract new viewers.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of channels out there that are very similar. Not so much, you know, everyone has their own personalities and stuff like that, but I think a lot of channels do have very similar content, and I do think with not just this game but probably any game, it is probably pretty hard to grow when there's so many people out there with millions of subscribers and you're trying to compete with them by doing the same thing. It's kind of, like you said, it's almost like, why would you bother watching a channel with 100 subs when there's someone who does the exact same thing with like 5 million subs, if that makes sense? So yeah, I think that you do need to like change, you know, you need to do something unique, and whether that be the type of videos you're doing, or you know, even just if you have like a super high quality videos or streams or whatever, just something that is slightly different. Because I do see that a lot of people come, and I'm sure you get this as well, a lot of people come asking about how to grow a channel and stuff, and you kind of look at their channel and it's just the same as everyone else. So I think you were spot on with what you said about just trying to be different than everyone else.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Especially when there's a lot of other big channels. Like I remember some of the channels I followed a lot before I started this channel was similar one game channels, but for Destiny, because I used to play Destiny back then. So, and it's the same channels that when I started this 6 years ago, it's the same channels that are still big in Destiny, because they were the first and they've perfected it. And then the only people who pop up and grow are the ones who do something new. Like, oh, the already big channels weren't doing this, so I'm gonna subscribe to this new guy. So it's really about trying to find something that people aren't already doing.
Yeah, I think that's something that hopefully a lot of people who are, you know, thinking about starting channels, hopefully that's gonna help them out, because I probably agree with that 100%. There's not really much else you can do other than just try and be different, I guess. moving on to the next question, what keeps you motivated to keep on making content? Obviously, it is your job, so it's kind of like it's almost like with any other job, you go to work to get paid. But other than that, like, what motivates you to keep on coming back and streaming and making content for everyone?
I don't know. I think it's especially the stream part. I mean, sometimes videos can feel like a chore if it's like I really didn't want to make a video now, but the news came out and I'm gonna make a video. I never really think it's boring or anything like that, but it's like, all right, maybe I wouldn't plan to make a video, but I'm gonna do it because of news. But when it comes to streams, it's always like I look forward to every stream, and I never feel like it's a chore. I don't feel like, oh, I have to stream today because it's my job or something like that. But it's just fun. And whenever I don't know, go on a trip or a vacation or sometime where I don't stream for like a week, it's always like I miss the chat, I miss just streaming and interacting with my viewers. So and then since Battlefront always has something new pretty much every month, it's like it keeps it fresh. Otherwise, it would probably be a lot harder to be motivated. Like I remember back when I tried to do daily videos like 1 or 2 years ago, then it became this for like, shit, I don't know what kind of video I'm gonna make today, but I have to make a video, so I'll just make something up. But now I've kind of gone away from that, and instead I'm just making videos when I want to make videos, or when any news comes out, and the rest of the time I'll be live streaming, because live streams, I don't need to like come up with a new topic. I can just live stream, have fun, interact with the chat. So I think that's what keeps me motivated, just doing what I enjoy and not feeling like I have to put out 5 videos a week. If there's no stuff to talk about, I'll just stream instead. So I think that's what keeps me motivated the most.
Yeah, I think that's honestly a really good mindset to have. I think a lot of channels out there, and it's not even just Battlefront, it's probably all YouTube gaming, and honestly probably just all YouTube in general. A lot of people get sort of stuck in that the grind mode where they feel like they've got to smash out videos every day or however often, and it seems like a lot of channels out there don't actually enjoy what they're doing after a while. And I actually see a lot of channels that take breaks after, I don't know, like a couple years doing it, and they end up going, it's not for me anymore. And I think that is probably part of it, is a lot of them focus more on the growth, which is a good thing. You should be, you should try and grow a channel, but I think a lot of people lose that sort of fun factor, which is, in all honesty, I think that's why people should start a channel, is just to have fun rather than going into it thinking that I want to make this a career or whatever. So yeah, I think you got the right mindset there, because like I said, I think even just within this community, I think there's a lot of channels that are just sort of in it for the growth rather than just the enjoyment factor.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit like the same as with, clickbait channels that exist in not just Battlefront community but others. It's obvious they just want to do it for the views and for the money, because like, why would you otherwise do something that will give you a shit reputation in the community? But if you get views for it, and you don't care about having a bad reputation, I guess you can continue doing that. So it's like, it really depends on if you want to do something just you want to do, or something that will grow and make you money. So you gotta find, obviously if you're doing it as a job, you can't just do what's fun, and you're sitting there making a random video that gets 10 views. But still, you gotta find the balance there of fun and still something that people will watch.
Yeah, that's a good point. Touching on that as well a little bit, we got a list of questions, but that wasn't in it. What are your thoughts on that sort of clickbait, I guess, culture within this community? What are your thoughts on a lot of the channels that do that?
I think it's kind of sad, because there are some channels that have popped up over the last years that will, I mean, they know what they're doing. Like, they gotta give props. Like, they know how to manipulate the algorithm. They know how to, like, they'll drop in a hero or a reinforcement or something that has literally never been mentioned, but they'll put it in the title or in the thumbnail anyways, because why not? And people will click that. Because people are very gullible. It's literally every community. Sure, they might have a higher percentage of dislikes than most other Battlefront channels, but it's still not enough. It's not like they have 50% dislikes, and therefore they can just keep going and usually clear out whatever negative comments they get. So it's a bit sad, but also I'm glad to see that whenever those particular channels are brought up, it's like they don't have a good reputation. They still get a lot of views, fine, but it's like they're not like the ones that are getting a lot of recognition in the community, because people know they will just they will make up any news and don't care about if it's fake just for the sake of getting clicks, you know. There are like different levels, of course. There are some that will just have a little bit of caps lock here and there, which is fine, or they're not straight up lying, you know, but there are a few channels that will literally don't give a crap. They will just, I'm gonna put this hero in this title that has nothing to do with the news just because I randomly interpreted this tweet from a developer that has nothing to do with it, if you know what I mean. It's yeah, I don't like those channels at all, but I mean, if it works for them, I guess they make good bank from it. I'll let them do it, but they're the ones who get a crappy reputation within the community.
Yeah, exactly. I think you did bring up a good point there. That's something I haven't really thought about, is that they do get the views and their channels grow and stuff, but at the end of the day, they are like widely known in the community of having almost like no integrity, which is, at least it's a good thing that the community does like to call it out and stuff. So I guess there's a silver lining there that, yeah, it is kind of sad, like you said, but it could be worse. There could be people that, you know, those type of channels could be getting just as much recognition as, say, yours, which involves pretty much, well, not pretty much, exactly no clickbait. So it's good that those channels aren't getting the love that they probably don't deserve.
Yeah, but it's also sad to see how easy it is, because I once a year I'll do a clickbait video on April's Fools, just like, okay, this time of year I can actually do it and I'm not going to feel bad. And I'll do literally exactly what they do. I'll make up some news about some heroes or whatever, and I'll see like, oh, this was the most viewed video I got this year. So imagine if I did this every day instead. Imagine how big the channel would be. But I'm like, I don't want to do that, because I don't know. I have a conscience. I don't want to feel like I'm tricking my viewers. But if some people want to do that, be my guest. But that's really what made me realize how easy it is when I try to do it myself once a year, and I'll see, oh, I got double or triple the views of what I normally do. So obviously it works.
Yeah, I think that's the worst part about it, is that it's like, it honestly is probably the easiest way to grow a channel, which is, I don't know. I don't know how, but I think YouTube needs to look at that and figure out how to kind of stop it. I don't know if it's possible, but it is pretty sad that is literally the best way to grow a channel, is to clickbait, but it is at the cost of any respect, pretty much.
Yeah.
So moving on for the last question, touching on, I guess, your channel. We kind of touched on this already, actually, but what are your plans for the future of the channel regarding, you know, whether it does end up staying Battlefront, or, you know, what are any other plans that you've got for the next, say, 5 years or something like that?
I'm not sure. If Battlefront stays alive, I kind of want to keep doing what I'm doing now, really. Just do more streams and videos. I like the balance I've got now between videos and streams, and just continue doing that, really. I want to do a little bit more videos. At the moment, I'm like, I'll pretty much only do videos if there's news to talk about. But then a lot of times I'll discuss something interesting or show something interesting, but I'll do it in a stream, so I realize that 99% of my viewers then won't see that, so I kind of want to take that part of the stream then and make it into a video, whether I re-record it or just cut it out or something. Because now I focus so much on streams that I feel like a lot of it gets missed by people who can't watch the streams. And then obviously keep covering Star Wars games like Fallen Order. I'm sure I'm gonna make plenty of videos around the release. It doesn't seem to do as well as Battlefront for some reason, but I'll still cover Fallen Order, and if they announce any other Star Wars games. I would like to do some more IRL stuff, like I did that series of the Battlefront, but then it's a bit tricky to film and get time and stuff for it, so I don't know. I think, yeah, and then again, I covered earlier what I would do if Battlefront doesn't survive, then I'll just focus more on streams. So I don't think I have any direct plans. It's more about, if Battlefront keeps being alive, I just continue doing roughly what I'm doing right now, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So now moving on to some more, I guess, Battlefront related stuff. And this is the first question that, honestly, I will ask everyone on this podcast, because it's something that I'm kind of nervous about it. How much longer do you actually think that Battlefront 2 will last, in terms of not so much the people playing it, but just like the support? Obviously, after they cancel support, it will still be played for a while. But in terms of DICE actually supporting it, how much longer do you think that it will actually be supported?
I don't like. I think at least until the end of the year. I've had now that they're doing the stuff in fall, like Fallujah and that PvE mode, I feel like they would probably do something for Rise of Skywalker, whether it's just some skins or some an actual proper content drop. I'm not sure, but I think at least until the end of 2019. And then after that, I really don't know. I feel like they need to get more of a long-term plan. If they continue the way they do now, I don't think they're gonna make enough money to support a big enough dev team, to be honest. But if they figure out a way to whether it's release packs or again, they can't just go back to DLCs, but something where, I don't know, battle passes, packs, something that would make that's what I feel like is the main issue right now. For those like me, and I'm sure yourself, who play the game a lot, we're the ones who want to spend money on the game, but we're the ones who have no reason to do so, because we can just buy all the skins and every content they release for credits. And that's kind of like the absolute wrong way a successful live service game will be. Like, okay, the most dedicated players are the ones who do have something to buy, because they if I played 800 hours of a game, I will gladly pay another $60 for whether it's new content or something, but there's nothing to spend it on. And now instead it's the new players who just bought the game, who are like, oh wow, this is a lot of skins, I cannot afford these, but I already bought the game just now. So it's kind of backwards. I think they need to turn that around somehow, where it's the veteran players who will get something to show their support on, basically. But back to the main question, I don't really know. I think at least to the end of 2019, probably something with Rise of Skywalker. And then after that, I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if it goes on in 2020, because at least the last few months has been very positive from the developer side, and they're announcing new stuff. So potentially, but I think minimum the rest of 2019.
Yeah, I think and I'm trying not to get my hopes up, as I'm sure everyone else is, but it does seem as though they are, hinting towards that it is going to keep being supported. I feel like it would be pretty abrupt if they just at the end of the year kind of ended it, because they keep on saying, we're going to keep supporting the game and all this content's on the way, and I feel like it would be just like out of the blue if they just said, all right, here's all your last content and now we're done. So it kind of seems like it could go into next year, maybe not the whole year, but it does seem like it could get some. But at the same time, it could, we might not even get Rise of Skywalker stuff. It's hard.
Fallujah could be the last if we're like, we don't. Yeah,
it's so hard to read the. I know that there's all the, there's so much that the devs can say. Obviously, they're not allowed to say a lot of stuff, but it's so hard to sort of read what they're actually trying to hint at. I guess it's hard to tell whether they're saying that it's going to end soon or whether they're saying it's going to be supported for another year. It's almost impossible to tell at this point.
Yeah, I hope that in August they'll not just talk about Fallujah and the PvE mode, but that they will like, oh right, this is the rest of the year, or even further than that. It would be nice with a bit of a longer roadmap like we got back last June.
Yeah, I think that's something that I think they really need to. I know, again, it's the way that it works. I guess they might not even know how long it's going to be supported for, so maybe they can't. But I do think that would really help with the future of the game if they just announced even just a rough roadmap. Like, even if they didn't say what content, but they just said, we're going to be getting content until the middle of next year or something like that. At least then people will know. But having the game, it's kind of like it's in limbo at the moment. No one really knows, and I think that kind of hurts the game in a way, because people are probably starting to wonder, well, should I bother spending so much time playing the game when it might be dead by the end of the year, if that makes sense. Yeah,
exactly. And I think something you mentioned with they might not even know, and I think based all these years as a game changer, I've kind of learned that it's often it's not just they can't announce it, but it's also they don't know if they've locked it in or if it's confirmed. Because as soon as they put it out public, it's like they have to do that. So that's probably why they can't. I think, didn't they say that they were going to update the roadmap on a 3-month basis now? So I don't know if we'll ever get further than 3 months ahead. I guess in August it could be September, October, November, so it could be almost the rest of the year, but it's still, I think they don't know themselves, basically, much further than that, and that's why they can't announce too much.
Yeah, I reckon you're probably onto something there with that, because that's the way it seems. Now, another kind of a touchy subject here is relating to Anakin. How do you feel? Obviously, he's been very broken pretty much since launch. How do you feel after his last nerf? Because obviously they changed a fair bit, and I wanted to get your thoughts on how he feels after that.
I think he's in a pretty good spot now. I thought the main issue was that Retribution lasted way too long, so that, well, you basically hovering in the air for 4 seconds, which means that anyone can just shoot you down if you're a hero. And plus, it takes longer to charge it up now without the heroic might thing. But I think he's still really annoying to face off against, because he can just do a force pull, then he'll do the heroic might to knock you down, and then he'll, that combo is still really annoying. But I don't think he's broken anymore. I think I would have preferred though if you could still charge up heroic might with damage, because now it's only for range, which means you can never one shot. Like, I thought it was a fun mechanic of trying to position yourself so that people would actually shoot on you, and maybe you could charge up to, I don't know, 200, 250 only, so it wouldn't be too dangerous for heroes, but it could at least one shot like a heavy. So I think, well, I mean, he's in a pretty good spot now. I just thought it was a bit, heroic might is a bit boring now, that's all I'll say. But overall, I think it might have been for the best. I don't think he's broken anymore, but he can still be annoying to face off against if he combos his abilities.
Yeah, I think that was always probably the main thing, and I think you were right about Retribution. I think that was just like, it was just a hero kill. Like, as soon as you got stuck in it, you were pretty much dead. There was really nothing you could do unless, I know, like, I think if you got hit with the saber when you were in it, I think it like knocked you out or something. But other than that, if you got caught by it, you were pretty much dead. So it's I think he is in a lot more of a balanced place. I still think he might be slightly overpowered, but he's bearable now at least, which is a much better thing. Moving on to the next thing, which kind of relates to that as well. Obviously, I don't think it's this month, but I think it's coming soon. They're getting the passive health on kill. I think this month it is going to be like all the hero, they're going to have health on kill instead of health on abilities, at least for the cards. But when they change it to the passive ability, do you think that's going to break some of the characters? Because there's characters like Yoda that I think might be on the level of Anakin. Honestly, I think he might be a little bit hard. But what are your thoughts on that?
I don't think they haven't said that they're doing, the only thing they're doing is they're increasing the health you get per that kill, but they haven't said that they're removing the health on ability. So it's still gonna be Yoda only gets it from Unleash, which I think is fine. But again, I don't think they haven't even confirmed that they're doing the passive ones. That seems to be like, we want to do it, but I'm not sure. But if they do that, I don't think it's gonna break them as long as they do it based on abilities. I mean, I recall them having like a feedback post a few weeks or a month ago about that. So like Yoda, since like you said, he can be really annoying. So I think Yoda should still only have it for Unleash, versus someone like Chewie. I think he should probably get it just normal health on kill, because he only gets it from the charge slam now. So I don't think it's gonna break them as long as they keep some of them as either health on ability kill, or they just lower the health gotten if they're gonna go for actual kills. Because some like Yoda probably should not get normal health on kill, but it has to be on health on ability. Like Anakin, for instance, he could have health on, I don't know, heroic might kill instead. So I don't think it's gonna, if they do that passive one, I don't think it's gonna break, because I don't think they're gonna make it so that everyone gets 100 health on every hero kill, but it's gonna have to be on the ability still.
Yeah, I think that's I think the only issue with it at the moment, honestly, is those characters like you said with Chewie, and I think like Phasma and Finn. They're probably the ones that they just need to get health on kill, and then I honestly think it's fine how it is. And obviously, if we can get it to be passive rather than a health card, that's obviously definitely a good thing. But yeah, I agree that someone like Yoda, and I feel like there's some other characters that would probably be pretty. I mean, I don't know if there's actually anyone else that has it on an ability. I don't think there is, other than those four. But yeah, I feel like hopefully you're right. Hopefully they just don't go that way. Which, like you said, it's all sort of, none of it's confirmed at the moment anyway. So hopefully it's hopefully it's not going to be another issue like Anakin. But I don't think it will. Hopefully not anyway.
Yeah, I think they probably listen to the feedback. So I doubt we're gonna make someone super OP with that. I think it's gonna work out in the end.
Yeah, exactly. Now moving on to, this will be the last question related to Battlefront. I know you asked this question to Dennis when you had the interview at EA Play. What are your thoughts on whether they, you touched on private servers and stuff like that. Do you think that will be something that they'll look into adding? And if they do you reckon they would do rental servers like they do in Battlefield? Or
I think rental servers I don't really have any hope for at all. Private matches like in the last game, I think that really depends on like if they get commitment for. I felt it's always like it seems like they don't know how long the game is going to go on for, so they take it a few months at a time, and therefore they never feel like they can commit to it. But if they, I don't know, I feel like if they decide to go, okay, we're going to do the entire 2020, then maybe it'll be worth for them to add private matches, because people can, host fun events where they'll do their own Evil Cunt nights, or I don't know, Death Star 24/7 server or something like that. But I don't know if I'm trying to see it from like if the amount of players they currently have, this is a pretty small part of those, mostly us, the active like community people who will benefit from the private servers. So from my point of view, I think it's like you should add private servers. Obviously you should add that, but if you're thinking about the average player or kid picking up the game, I don't think they would benefit a lot from private servers. They're probably trying to focus on, let's make a PvE mode instead that they can play, or let's just add interesting new content. So, because I don't know exactly how much it takes to make private servers, but I think it's more than we probably think. So, so I think it's, like as well, based on Dennis' response, it really seems like it depends on, are they committing to multiple years for this game? Then maybe we're getting it, or is it just a few months? Then probably not. A rental service, I think that's another step. So private servers would probably be the first. But maybe they could just make private servers and then like make them public somehow, so you don't need to have them on the friend list to invite them. But I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this, because it's like I honestly genuinely don't know. I think it's, if they get multiple year support, then maybe yes. Otherwise, probably not.
Yeah, I think I honestly feel exactly the same there. I think if they were to go ahead with the game, it's something that they probably, like Dennis said, he kind of said that they know that people want it. But you are right. If the game's going to end soon, they might just say, look, it's not worth the resources. Because I do think, like you said, I think it probably takes a lot more than people assume it would take, actually.
Yeah.
Now moving on to the last sort of topic, which is Fallen Order. Obviously, this is a big thing after EA Play a couple of weeks ago. I wanted to know, first of all, did you guys get to play the game before we got that Fallen Order like gameplay, or did you guys see that at the same time as everyone and then get to play it afterwards?
We saw the gameplay at the same time, and then they had like this extended gameplay thing, but that people could queue up at EA Play to see. But that was on, I think, Saturday. Saturday, I think. Yeah, Saturday to reveal the gameplay. And on Sunday we had our play session, so we played afterwards. And like when we had our play session, the developer, he played through like the 30-minute demo, which is or like 25 minutes. So it's like 10 minutes extra at the start when you drive an 8080, and then it gets to the actual gameplay we see in the official reveal. And then after he played that, we got to spend like 5 minutes each in what they call the gauntlet, which is basically just a wave-based little room, so that you can try out the controls and the lightsaber combat and everything. So yeah, the full reveal we saw the same time as everyone else, and then we got to see the extended gameplay, and then we got to play the 5 minutes.
Nice. Now, something that a lot of people were talking about with that was that, I've heard a lot of complaints about the gameplay and stuff like that. I wanted to know, I've heard a lot of people saying this, that, they got to play it. Does the gameplay feel different than it looked? Because, honestly, I was pretty happy with the gameplay, but a lot of people seem to sort of be not that happy with it. But from what I've heard, it was, it felt a lot better than it looked, which I guess I wanted to know
I think I fully agree in that. I mean, again, I only played 5 minutes, so I don't think it's fair to judge. But those 5 minutes of playing got me a lot more hyped than any of the trailers or the gameplay, because the gameplay looked like one of the main things was that in the full gameplay that they revealed, he just spams kind of force powers, and it looks pretty easy. Because he has unlimited force powers. But then the first thing he says when we get into the gauntlet is like, oh, that was just in a demo. The one that you're playing now, you don't have unlimited force powers, which all of a sudden made it a lot harder, because I just spammed the force powers and then I had no force powers left, and I was like, what am I supposed to do now? Like, oh, you gotta parry, you gotta dodge, you gotta try to do that kind of things. And I'm like, all right, I'm just getting slaughtered by this purge trooper. So it made it. They talked a lot about the thoughtful combat, and I don't think we saw that much in the gameplay reveal. But when you got to play and you don't have unlimited force powers, it suddenly becomes a lot trickier. So and then of course there was things like deflecting, or parrying, you had to like time the block button at the same time as the hit or the blaster bolt came in, and doing those kind of things I never really noticed in the gameplay either. So there was a lot more depth to it, and I was so confused trying to play those 5 minutes. Because there were so many like, oh, this button does that, this button does that, and I was like, I can't remember this. I'm just gonna spam and see what happens, kind of. So in short, yes, at least those 5 minutes did make me a lot more hyped than any of the gameplay I saw, and it did feel a lot more. It had more depth and was more. It was more fun than the gameplay looked. So I can understand. I also wasn't 100% convinced by the gameplay after seeing it, but I'm more convinced after playing it.
Yeah, I think that's good to hear, because I think I mean, that's kind of the case with all gameplay, really. When you see a reveal, a lot of games look different than they actually feel, so it's good to know that. I mean, honestly, I was pretty happy with the reveal, but I think I do see a lot of people's grievances with it, saying it, you know, some people say it looked too easy, or the combat didn't look great or something like that, but it is good to know that the you know, actually playing it does feel differently.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I wanted to move on to, well, still touching on the combat, I guess, but is there any games that it kind of reminded you of? Say, I've heard a lot of people say it looked, you know, the combat looked like Dark Souls or something like that. Is there any games that, you know, when you were playing it kind of stood out, like, oh, this reminds me of, you know, this game or whatever?
I don't know, actually, because like I said, I play so few games, because I'm like, I'm gonna play this game and I'm gonna play the crap out of it for a year and then I'll find a new game. So I haven't played many of those games like Dark Souls that people compare it to. Like, I played Force Unleashed, and I played like the Revenge of the Sith game and similarly, but I don't know if I thought I didn't feel any of those, because again, Force Unleashed felt a bit more like you can just pick up anything, throw everything, pull down a Star Destroyer, and that's not how it felt here. It was like every character you had to be careful with them, and so I don't think right away. I don't think there was no game that came to my mind when I played it that I thought it was similar to. Probably because I haven't played those games like Dark Souls. But for me, it was kind of just a game that I don't felt like I had played any similar games to. Although I'm sure those who have played more games than me will find some more similarities.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing, though, in that it, you know, I hope it is like that. I hope it's its own kind of game that, you know, maybe has some similarities to other games, but I think it's a good thing if it's more its own game rather than just, say, yeah, Dark Souls but with the Star Wars skin. I think that's going to be good for it if it's sort of a unique game.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's sort of one question, but that's in a way two questions. I wanted to ask, if you were designing the game, for example, what are 3 things that you really would like to see in Fallen Order that hasn't already been confirmed, obviously?
Oh, that hasn't been confirmed. Okay, that's a bit tricky. I think something that I asked that in my interview, but they were kind of vague. It's something like, I actually remember that both Force Unleashed, but also like the Revenge of the Sith game, where you have the skill point tree in Fallen Order. I'm not sure how that works, but where you can really take your character to the direction you want, and therefore every playthrough is going to be different. Because I remember in the Revenge of the Sith game, I'd be like, alright, this time I won't max out my force push and it would be so powerful, but then my force throw or force choke would be kind of rubbish. That's something I hope. So if you decide to, I don't know, max out your lightsaber throw or something like that, then you're gonna have to tackle the challenges differently than someone who has maxed out their force push. So that's something, I hope that's going to be the case, where it's not just, oh, when you're done with the game, you have maxed out every single skill point, so everyone's ending is going to be exactly the same. That's one thing. Obviously, another thing is that it won't happen, but I would have loved to see this kind of game in the Frostbite engine, because it still looks good, but when you've seen Battlefront, I saw Dr. Disrespect reacting to it, and he was like, yeah, why does this not look as good as Battlefront 2, which is like 2 years old? So obviously not something they can just switch now, but that would something that they have not confirmed that I would love to see. And yeah, what else? I mean, dismemberment. I would love to see a realistic, like, literally wherever your lightsaber cuts, that's gonna. Although I can see why you can't have like a stormtrooper cut in half in a game that kids might play. Personally, I'd love to see that, but it would probably be for another game, or that they would have a higher rating on. But basically, realistic lightsaber physics in a game. That's probably also another thing I would love to see.
Yeah, I think that's something that I think a lot of people would like to see. That is like maybe not like an R-rated Star Wars game, but something with a high rating that is gonna be, you know, a bit more like the movies in a way. But the thing is, I don't know whether they would ever do that, because, you know, Star Wars is in a way made for kids, so whether they would do that, I don't know. But I do agree with that. I think it would be pretty cool to see a darker Star Wars game, or even just like a movie or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like that's not what they're trying to focus on. They're focusing more on kids, obviously, or basically everyone. But at some point, I'd love to see an R-rated game or movie.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. Now, following up to that, what are 3 things you really don't want in this? Obviously, they've already cancelled out things like microtransactions and stuff like that, but other than that, what are 3 things you really don't want in Fallen Order?
I think I don't want it to get like insane force powers like in Force Unleashed. I want it to. He already seems pretty darn strong for a Padawan in the gameplay we saw, but that was still three hours into the game. But I just hope it's not gonna go overboard, and you're gonna be like, oh, well, if he can do this, why couldn't Luke do that? You know, because he's not supposed to be nearly as strong as him. So just don't go overboard with the force powers. And then also in terms of the ending, I'm a bit like, I honestly kind of hope that Cal dies, just by like Vader comes in and kills him, because I feel like the more Jedi they keep like saying, oh, so yeah, obviously Ahsoka is alive by the time of Return of the Jedi and everything, which is already like, wait, I thought Luke was okay. Sure, she's not really a Jedi, but kind of. But they're always like, oh, Luke is the only one. And if they keep introducing characters that could be alive around that time, it's a little bit strange. So obviously, maybe if they announce a sequel or something, that Cal will be in as well, that's another thing. But I still, if they really want to make another game, another single player similar game, just come up with another character. And for the sake of closing this storyline, I would love to see him just like last scene. You'll kill the Inquisitor and be like, yes, I succeeded with the game, and then just Vader comes in and slaughters you or something. I think that could be a pretty cool ending to the game. Yeah,
that's something. When they announced it and the like time that it was set, that was the first thing I thought. I was like, I really want Vader to kill me, pretty much.
Yeah. And the third thing I don't want in Fallen Order, I guess it's not. But I just hope that there's gonna be enough types of enemies to not get repetitive. I mean, we did see a fair, like we saw the normal stormtroopers, I think the scout troopers, the purge troopers, and the whatever those spider things were called. I think those were the 4, right? We saw in the gameplay, which is good enough for a level. But I just hope that it's not gonna be those 4 for the rest of the game, but it's gonna be constantly like, well, plus the what are they called, the K2SO droid, and Imperial something droid.
Oh, and the flamethrowers too. I forgot about those too.
Oh yeah, flamethrower. Yeah. So that's already 6 enemies, which is not that bad. But I hope that yeah, that's what I hope. It's not gonna get. I hope it's not gonna get repetitive because there's only gonna be those 6 enemies. And I mean, it seemed like when we faced off against that purge trooper, I know like Saw said something like, "Oh, I've never seen that kind of trooper before." So I'm guessing this part of the gameplay reveal is probably the first time you see the purge trooper. So before those 3 hours, you probably haven't faced off against them. So yeah, basically, I just don't want it to get repetitive due to the same enemies. That's like a thing I'm pretty worried about.
Yeah, I think that's I've heard a lot of people saying about that as well. Like, you know, there's only so many types of troopers that we know of, really, and that's something I do agree with. I think that maybe, I mean, when you think about it, I guess there's a lot of different types of troopers, but yeah, I hope there is enough variety that it's not like, you know, you're not just always facing regular stormtroopers, and it's just going to be every say 3 levels there's a new type of sort of, not boss, but, you know, a new someone just below the purge troopers or something like that. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think so. I think they need that for the game to not feel like, I don't know how long the game is going to be, but if it's like 8-10 hours or more, and if it's just the same, you're only going to be playing for basically the story. So the story has to be really good. If the gameplay doesn't introduce new stuff all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that is actually going to do it for all the questions today. I wanted to say a massive thank you for coming on because, like I said, you're probably you are one of the biggest channels in the community, so it's pretty awesome to have you on. Thank you for coming on, Elliot.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was really, really fun.
No worries. I will leave a link in the description. I'm sure everyone watching this is already subbed to Elliot, but if you're not, I will leave a link to his channel in the description, so please go and drop a sub to Elliot if you're not already. But that is going to wrap it up for today, boys and girls. So thank you all very much for watching all the way through, if you are still listening, and I will catch you all in the next one.
There's always